Ever wonder why some people seem to build wealth effortlessly, while you're working harder than ever but still feel stuck financially? The secret isn't always about earning more money. It's about avoiding the hidden traps that drain your resources. Stay tuned as we expose the 10 worst offenders. What if I told you that common possessions, things many people consider normal or even status symbols, are actually designed to keep you poor? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the financial playbook the wealthy use, specifically the pages detailing what not to buy. Get ready to rethink your assets. Are you tired of the financial rat race, feeling like you take one step forward only to be pulled 2 steps back? It might be because you unknowingly own assets that are actively destroying your wealth. We're about to reveal 10 financial time bombs, and the last one might shock you. Have you ever looked around and noticed how some individuals seem to attract wealth almost magically, while others, maybe even yourself, are grinding away day after day, yet never seem to get ahead financially? It's a frustrating reality for many. But the truth is, the wealthy often operate by a different set of financial rules, a playbook they rarely share openly. Well, today, consider this your insider access, because I'm about to expose some of its most critical secrets. We're diving deep into the 10 worst things you can possibly own, items often disguised as assets, that are silently siphoning your money and keeping you firmly trapped in that exhausting financial hamster wheel. Make no mistake, these aren't just minor financial missteps or slightly questionable investments. These are genuine wealth destroyers, often cleverly packaged as desirable status symbols or markers of achievement that society tells us we should want. Think this is just theory? Even investing legend Warren Buffett has alluded to this truth. He and many other incredibly successful people built their fortunes not necessarily by inventing the next big thing, but by diligently avoiding the exact kind of wealth-killing purchases that millions of ordinary people make every single day without a second thought. It's almost as if each of these items is part of a larger, subtle system designed to funnel your hard-earned money directly into someone else's pockets. So, listen closely, especially as we get towards the end of the list. The final item is perhaps the most deceptive, the most insidious of them all, and chances are it's parked just outside your home right this very moment. All right, let's defuse these financial time bombs that are sabotaging your journey to financial freedom. First on our list, brand new car. Ah, that intoxicating new car smell. It's almost irresistible, isn't it? The sleek design, the latest tech, the feeling of driving something fresh off the factory line. But here's the cold, hard financial reality. The instant you drive that shiny new vehicle off the dealership lot, it typically loses around 15% of its value. Poof, gone. If you just spent $40,000, that's like tossing $6,000 cash out the window on your drive home. And the bleeding doesn't stop there. Within the first 5 years, most new cars depreciate by more than half their original worth. So that $40,000 car, it's likely worth less than $20,000 after just 60 months. But here's the kicker. If you financed it, you're probably still making hefty monthly payments based on that initial $40,000 price tag, often plus significant interest, pushing the real cost closer to $50,000 or even more over the life of the loan. Meanwhile, people who truly understand wealth accumulation rarely fall into this depreciation trap. Think about it. Warren Buffett, a man worth billions, famously drove a modest, used Cadillac for years. Why? Because the wealthy understand a fundamental truth. Cars are generally expenses that rapidly lose value. They are not investments that gain value. True wealth is built by acquiring assets that appreciate or generate income, not things that depreciate the moment you acquire them. So, what's the smarter strategy? Look for reliable vehicles that are just 2 or 3 years old, often with low mileage. A gently used Toyota Camry or a Honda Accord, for example, can offer virtually the same driving experience, safety features, and technology as the brand new model, sometimes even still under warranty. The difference? You could save $10,000, $15,000, or even more right from the start. If you feel you absolutely must buy new, pause and do the full calculation. Consider this. That same $40,000, if invested conservatively in something like an S&P 500 index fund over 20 years, could potentially grow to over $186,000. Suddenly, is that fleeting new car smell really worth sacrificing nearly $200,000 of your future wealth? Losing money on a depreciating car is bad enough. But hold on, because our next financial trap involves a supposed vacation investment that often morphs into a lifelong financial burden almost impossible to escape. Number 2, timeshares. Picture this: owning a charming little slice of paradise, a guaranteed vacation spot you can return to year after year. That's the alluring promise dangled by timeshare salespeople. It sounds fantastic, right? The problem? Timeshares are widely considered one of the absolute worst financial commitments anyone can make. Frankly, calling them investments is incredibly misleading. It usually begins with a hefty upfront payment, often $20,000, $30,000, or even more. But that's just the entry fee. What those persuasive salespeople often downplay are the mandatory annual maintenance fees. These fees never seem to go down. In fact, they consistently increase over time, perhaps starting at $800 but quickly ballooning to $2,000 or significantly more per year. And here's the kicker. It doesn't matter if you actually use your allotted week or points that year. You are locked in. You pay those fees regardless. Then comes the day when reality sets in. Maybe your lifestyle changes, or you simply want out. You try to sell your timeshare and discover the brutal, disheartening truth. The resale market is virtually non-existent. It's absolutely flooded with desperate owners practically begging someone, anyone, to take it off their hands. Many are willing to sell for pennies on the dollar compared to what they paid, or even offer to pay someone just to take over the contract and the ongoing fee obligation. Just ask Robert from Miami. He learned this lesson the hard way. After paying $30,000 for his Florida timeshare 5 years earlier, he tried selling it for $15,000. Despite his efforts, he didn't receive a single serious offer. Financially savvy travelers understand this pitfall. They simply book hotels, rent condos, or use services like Airbnb or VRBO when they want to travel. This gives them complete freedom to choose different destinations each year, stay in modern, updated properties without being tied down, and best of all, avoid those relentless, never-ending financial commitments. If you're currently trapped in a timeshare you regret, know that there are specialized companies that claim to help owners exit these contracts. However, be cautious and prepared to pay significant fees for their services. As with many financial mistakes, prevention is far, far cheaper and easier than trying to find a cure later. Before signing any long-term commitment like this, always ask yourself, does this provide financial flexibility, or does it lock me into an expensive, inflexible obligation? Speaking of appearances versus reality, let's uncover the third wealth killer. This one convinces people to trade their long-term financial security for fleeting moments of admiration from complete strangers. Number 3, designer clothes and luxury accessories. That $2,000 designer handbag, that $10,000 luxury watch, they certainly make a statement and might project an image of success. But here's an uncomfortable truth the luxury industry doesn't want you to focus on. A significant number of people flaunting these high-end status symbols are actually drowning in debt or living paycheck to paycheck. They are literally trading tangible future wealth for a temporary, often misleading, illusion of prosperity right now. It's a fascinating paradox, isn't it? You see people stretched thin financially, yet parading around in the latest designer gear. Meanwhile, many genuinely wealthy individuals, true millionaires and billionaires, often dress quite modestly and live discreetly. Think of Mark Zuckerberg's signature simple gray t-shirts, or Warren Buffett residing in the same relatively modest house he purchased way back in 1958. They internalized a crucial lesson. Owning assets that generate income or appreciate in value is infinitely more important than simply appearing rich to others. Let's look at the cold, hard math. That stylish $500 pair of shoes doesn't just cost you $500. It also represents a significant opportunity cost. What else could that money have done for you? If you had invested that same $500 into a broad market index fund ETF like VTI, assuming an average annual return of 8%, it could potentially grow to over $2,300 in 20 years. Now, imagine doing that repeatedly. And if you financed that purchase on a high-interest credit card, tack on potentially 18% or more in annual interest, and the real cost could easily double or triple before you even realize it. Now, this doesn't mean you should live like a monk and never buy anything beautiful or high quality that you enjoy. The key issues are timing and proportion. Truly prosperous individuals tend to follow an assets-first principle. They prioritize building a solid foundation of investments before indulging in significant luxury spending. A sensible rule of thumb: if a luxury item costs more than, say, 1% of your total net worth, it might be wise to wait. If you genuinely appreciate luxury brands but want to be smart about it, explore alternatives. Online resale platforms like The Real Real or Vestiaire Collective offer authenticated pre-owned designer items for a fraction of their original retail price. Another option is exploring high-end clothing rental services like Rent the Runway, allowing you to wear designer outfits for special occasions without the hefty price tag and long-term commitment of ownership. Spending excessively on designer goods can certainly hinder wealth building, but at least you get something tangible, right? Our next wealth destroyer is even more insidious because it often sells nothing more than a sliver of false hope, yet people pour billions into it every single year. Number 4. Lottery tickets and excessive gambling. Did you know there's a kind of tax that millions of people voluntarily pay despite having virtually zero mathematical chance of ever getting a positive return? That's essentially what lottery tickets and habitual gambling represent, a hidden tax on hope, disproportionately affecting those who can least afford to waste their money. The odds are just mind-bogglingly terrible. You are statistically more likely to be struck by lightning, roughly 1 in 500,000, than you are to win a major Powerball jackpot, around 1 in 292 million. To put that staggering number into perspective, imagine filling a massive sports stadium like Madison Square Garden completely with people. Your chance of randomly picking the one grand prize winner from that entire crowd would still be better than your odds of hitting the lottery jackpot. The average American spends around $400 per year on lottery tickets. It might not sound like a fortune, but consider the cumulative effect and the opportunity cost. If that same $400 was invested monthly into a simple index fund like VOO, assuming an average 8% return over 30 years, it could grow to over $50,000. That's a significant sum built from redirecting money away from near-impossible odds. Sarah from Ohio faced this reality check when she calculated her spending. Over 12 years, she had spent more than $15,000 on lottery tickets, with her biggest win ever being a mere $50. That $15,000 could have been a substantial seed for her retirement fund. Observe the behavior of genuinely wealthy individuals. They don't typically throw money away on games with astronomically poor odds. Instead, they make calculated risks, often referred to as investments, in areas like businesses, real estate, or the stock market, arenas where analysis, strategy, and probabilities are much more in their favor. They understand that sustainable wealth is built through consistent, disciplined financial decisions, not by relying on a miraculous stroke of luck. If you find yourself occasionally feeling the urge to gamble, consider setting up a strict, limited play fund as part of your overall entertainment budget. Allocate no more than 1% or 2% of your disposable income to it, and once it's gone for the month. This allows for a small indulgence without jeopardizing your financial future. Even better, try redirecting that impulse towards actual investing. User-friendly apps like Acorns or Robinhood make investing small amounts accessible and even somewhat engaging, almost like a game, but one where the long-term odds are dramatically more favorable for building real wealth. Gambling can slowly bleed your finances dry, but our fifth wealth destroyer often works much, much faster. Think of it as a high-speed financial vacuum cleaner aimed directly at your wallet, and estimates suggest nearly 40% of Americans are currently caught in its powerful suction. Number 5. High-interest credit card debt. That convenient little piece of plastic residing in your wallet or purse. It might just be the single most dangerous threat to your long-term financial health. With average annual interest rates hovering around a staggering 20%, sometimes even higher, credit card debt that isn't paid off in full every single month acts like a financial black hole. It relentlessly sucks away your future wealth potential, leaving behind only a growing mountain of debt and stress. The numbers are truly frightening. Carrying just a $5,000 balance on your credit card and only making the minimum required payment each month can stretch the repayment period out to over 15 years. And during that time, you could end up paying more than $10,000 in interest alone. That means everything you bought effectively cost you double the original price. Dave from Boston learned this painful lesson firsthand. He accumulated $7,000 in debt purchasing furniture and electronics. By sticking to only the minimum payments, the total amount he eventually paid back ballooned to over $16,000 due to years of compounding interest. Here's a secret the banks and credit card companies don't advertise. They love it when you only pay the minimum. In fact, their entire business model often relies on it. That small minimum payment, maybe $25 or $35, isn't designed to help you get out of debt quickly. It's often scientifically calculated to keep you indebted for the longest possible time, allowing them to maximize the astronomical interest they collect from you. It's a brutally efficient system for transferring wealth from your future prosperity directly to the bank's shareholders. Financially intelligent people approach credit cards from a completely different angle. They absolutely leverage the benefits. Things like airline miles, cash-back rewards, purchase protection, and fraud security. However, they treat their credit cards like debit cards, paying off the entire balance, down to the last penny, every single month without fail. By doing this, they transform a potential debt trap into a powerful financial tool that actually pays them back. Cards like the Chase Freedom or Citi Double Cash can offer 1.5% to 2% or even more back on purchases, but these rewards only truly benefit you if you never pay a single cent in interest. Now, if you find yourself currently stuck in the grip of credit card debt, please know there is a way out. It takes discipline, but it's achievable. A highly effective strategy is the debt avalanche method. List all your debts, identify the one with the highest interest rate, and throw every extra dollar you can find at that debt while making only the minimum payments on all the others. Once that highest interest debt is completely eliminated, take all the money you were paying towards it, including the minimum payment, and attack the debt with the next highest interest rate. This creates a powerful snowball effect, accelerating your progress. There are also helpful apps like Undebt.it or Tiller Money that can help you organize this process, track your payments, and stay motivated by visualizing your debt shrinking. High-interest debt is a clear enemy, but our sixth wealth destroyer is more subtle. It often comes disguised as a necessary stepping stone to success, a costly credential that millions are still paying off decades after receiving it. Number 6. Expensive and often underutilized degrees. Go to college, get a good education, land a great job. This advice, passed down through generations, sounds sensible, right? However, in today's rapidly changing economy, this traditional path is becoming increasingly outdated and, for many, financially crippling. With the average cost of a 4-year bachelor's degree easily exceeding $100,000 at many institutions, countless young people are graduating not only into an uncertain job market, but also burdened with staggering levels of student loan debt that can follow them for decades, impacting their ability to buy homes, save for retirement, or start families. The average student loan debt per borrower in the U.S. is a jaw-dropping $37,000, but for graduates in certain fields or those attending private universities, owing over $100,000 is far from uncommon. Here's the harsh reality. Depending heavily on the chosen field of study, the starting salaries offered may be disappointingly low, making it mathematically almost impossible to pay off such enormous debt within a reasonable time frame. Consider Jennifer, who pursued her passion and graduated with a degree in visual arts, but also with $60,000 in student loans. Her first job in her field paid only $32,000 per year. Even after working diligently for 5 years due to interest accumulation and modest salary growth, she found she actually owed more than when she first graduated. The fundamental issue isn't education itself. Learning and skill development are crucial. The problem lies in the often severe imbalance between the immense cost of the credential and the tangible return on investment, ROI, it provides in the job market. Financially astute individuals rigorously analyze the potential ROI of any educational pursuit before enrolling. They ask critical, pragmatic questions. Will this specific degree realistically and significantly increase my earning potential in a field I actually want to work in? Are there more affordable or faster pathways to gain the necessary skills and enter this career? Could I acquire these valuable skills through alternative, more cost-effective means like certifications, apprenticeships, or targeted online courses? Building true financial freedom is a journey that goes beyond simply accumulating wealth. It's about creating a fortunately smart alternatives to the traditional 4-year degree are rapidly gaining traction and respect. Focused certification programs in high-demand technical fields like IT support, cybersecurity, web development, or data analysis often cost less than $10,000, sometimes significantly less, and can lead directly to well-paying entry-level jobs offering starting salaries of $60,000 or more. Community colleges provide an excellent, affordable way to complete the first 2 years of general education requirements at a fraction of the cost of a 4-year university, with credits often transferable. Furthermore, reputable online learning platforms like Coursera, edX, and LinkedIn Learning offer a vast array of high-quality courses and professional certificates, often taught by university professors or industry experts, for hundreds, not tens of thousands of dollars. Investing in relevant education and skills can be a powerful move. However, our seventh wealth destroyer involves spending significant amounts of money on items people barely use, items that plummet in value, and ironically, often create more work, stress, and expense in their owners' lives. Number 7. Boats, RVs, and other expensive toys. There's a well-worn joke often shared among boat owners. The two happiest days in a boat owner's life are the day they buy the boat and the day they sell it. While humorous, this saying hints at a harsh financial truth that many discover only after it's too late. Boats, recreational vehicles, RVs, vacation homes, jet skis, and similar high-ticket luxury toys often function as financial black holes, cleverly disguised as status symbols or facilitators of a fun lifestyle. Mike from Tampa experienced this firsthand. He fulfilled his dream by buying a boat for $65,000. After tracking his usage over a year, he was shocked to realize he had only taken it out on the water just 8 days. When he factored in all the annual ownership costs, his real cost per day of actual use worked out to nearly $2,000. Financially savvy individuals often take a completely different, much smarter approach to enjoying these types of experiences. They choose to rent luxury and recreation instead of buying it. Why endure the immense cost, hassle, and depreciation of owning a $50,000 boat when you can easily rent a similar or even nicer one for $400 to $600 per day on the handful of days you actually want to go boating? Numerous platforms like Get My Boat, Boat Setter, or membership-based options like Freedom Boat Club allow you to enjoy the on-water experience without the crushing financial burden and responsibilities of ownership. The same principle applies to RVs, vacation properties, and other luxury items. Let's revisit the math. It's relentless. That $50,000 boat incurring $5,000 in annual ownership costs over 10 years represents a total cash outlay of $100,000, $50K purchase plus $50K costs. Now, imagine if that initial $50,000 and the subsequent $5,000 per year were instead invested in a diversified portfolio, earning an average annual return of 8%. After 10 years, that investment could potentially grow to around $156,000. The difference is staggering. The crucial question becomes, are those few dozen days out on the lake over a decade really worth sacrificing over $150,000 of your potential future wealth? For those who genuinely love these exclusive experiences and have the means, a reasonable guideline is the 5% rule. If the annual operating and maintenance cost of a luxury item, boat, RV, vacation home, etc., exceeds 5% of your total annual after-tax income, you likely cannot comfortably afford it without compromising other financial goals. If you still desire access, explore fractional ownership programs or membership clubs that offer usage rights without the full weight and cost of individual ownership. Buying expensive toys that rapidly lose value is clearly unwise for most people. But our eighth wealth destroyer is far more subtle, often marketed cleverly as both essential protection and a smart investment. In reality, it frequently underdelivers on both promises while generating hefty commissions for the person selling it. Number 8. Whole life insurance and similar cash value policies. It's the best of both worlds, life insurance protection plus a built-in savings and investment component, all in one convenient package. This is a common sales pitch used by many insurance agents to promote whole life insurance policies and variations like universal life or variable life. However, what they often fail to adequately explain is that you're essentially bundling extremely expensive life insurance coverage with a very low-performing, inflexible investment vehicle. The result? A complex product that often ends up being mediocre or even poor at achieving both objectives. Let's look at the typical numbers, which rarely lie. Whole life insurance premiums can easily cost 5 to 10 times more than simple term life insurance for the exact same death benefit amount. For instance, a healthy 45-year-old man seeking $500,000 of coverage might pay around $400 per year for a basic 20-year term life policy. That same $500,000 death benefit packaged within a whole life policy could easily cost $4,000 or more annually. That's a difference of $3,600 every single year, money that, if invested wisely elsewhere, could be compounding and growing significantly faster. The investment component within whole life policies is notoriously inefficient, especially in the early years. A large portion of your initial premiums often goes directly towards covering the high insurance costs, administrative fees, and substantial sales commissions paid to the agent. It's not uncommon, after paying premiums for 10 years, totaling, say, $40,000 in our example, to find that the policy's accumulated cash value, the amount you could borrow against or surrender the policy for, is only $30,000 or even less. You've paid more in than the policy is currently worth. James, from Ohio, experienced this frustration when personal circumstances led him to cash out his whole life policy after 8 years. He was dismayed to receive significantly less money back than the total premiums he had paid in over those years. Meanwhile, his insurance agent had likely earned thousands of dollars in commission during the very first year of the policy. If you currently own a whole life insurance policy and are questioning its value or suitability for your goals, understand that you likely have options, though they can be complex. These might include taking a partial surrender of cash value, borrowing against the policy, usually with interest, or potentially executing a tax-free 1035 exchange into a different type of insurance product, like an annuity, or perhaps a more efficient, lower-cost policy, though be wary of simply swapping one high-commission product for another. It is highly recommended to consult with a fee-only financial planner, someone who charges a flat fee or hourly rate for advice and does not earn commissions from selling financial products, to get objective, unbiased guidance tailored to your specific situation. We've covered quite a few significant financial missteps already, but our 9th wealth destroyer might be impacting you constantly, perhaps even residing in your pocket or purse at this very moment. It's a recurring expense, fueled relentlessly year after year by some of the most sophisticated and pervasive marketing campaigns on the entire planet. There's a whole industry dedicated to convincing you to replace perfectly functional items with slightly newer, marginally improved versions. This secret is a marketing masterclass in making millions spend thousands annually on upgrades they often barely notice or need. Number 9. Expensive gadgets and the constant upgrade cycle. That shiny new smartphone release. It looks amazing, doesn't it? Boasting a slightly improved camera, a marginally faster processor, maybe a new color option compared to the model you bought just last year. But here's the unvarnished truth that major tech companies prefer you don't focus on: the actual, tangible difference in user experience between consecutive generations of most gadgets, smartphones, tablets, laptops, rarely, if ever, justifies the hefty $1,000+ price tag often required to upgrade. The cycle is brilliantly, almost perversely, efficient from the company's perspective. Each new product launch is accompanied by a massive marketing blitz designed to make your current, perfectly functional device suddenly feel inadequate, outdated, or obsolete, even if it still does everything you need it to do. Companies like Apple and Samsung have mastered the art of creating perceived obsolescence. They don't necessarily need your old product to physically break down. They just need to subtly convince you to believe it's no longer good enough, triggering that desire for the latest and greatest. And let's be honest, many of us fall into this upgrade trap repeatedly. The cumulative financial impact is startling when you add it up. Consistently upgrading your smartphone every single year can easily cost you over $12,000 across a decade. Think about that. $12,000 just on incremental phone upgrades. In contrast, if you simply extend the lifespan of your phone and keep it for 3 or even 4 years instead, which is perfectly feasible for most users, you could easily save $6,000 to $8,000 during that same 10-year period. Robert from Denver did the math on his own habits and was stunned to calculate he had spent over $14,000 solely on iPhone upgrades over the preceding 10 years. Had he invested that money consistently into a simple index fund, it could have potentially grown to more than $20,000 during that time. Financially savvy individuals tend to follow a straightforward, practical rule when it comes to technology. They use their gadgets, phones, laptops, tablets, until they genuinely no longer meet their functional needs or become unreliable, not simply until the next shiny model is released. Remember Warren Buffett, the billionaire? He famously used the same basic flip phone for years while managing a colossal business empire. The point isn't to shun technology, it's about using it strategically and intentionally, driven by actual need rather than marketing-induced emotion or the fear of missing out. When you do genuinely need to upgrade your tech, always consider more economical options before defaulting to the latest flagship model. Often, the previous year's model becomes available at significant discounts, sometimes 30% to 40% off, right after the new one launches, yet it still offers excellent performance. Look into certified refurbished devices directly from the manufacturer or reputable sellers. These are pre-owned items that have been inspected, repaired if necessary, and come with a warranty, often saving you hundreds of dollars compared to buying new. And for computers, particularly laptops, sometimes a simple, relatively inexpensive upgrade, like adding more RAM or swapping an old hard drive for a faster solid-state drive, SSD, can breathe new life into an aging machine for just $100 or $200, potentially delaying the need to spend $1,500 or more on a completely new model for several years. We're nearing the end. How are we doing? Did you already know about these tech upgrade traps? Or is this perspective giving you pause? Let me know in the comments. Knew it, or that's new. Your feedback is invaluable. Okay, now for our final and perhaps most emotionally charged wealth destroyer. This one often masquerades as the single happiest purchase of a person's life, but frequently leaves countless couples starting their journey together weighed down by a significant financial burden that can linger for years, casting a shadow over their future. Let's look at how an entire industry has masterfully convinced people to spend a small fortune, often equivalent to a down payment on a house, on just a single day's event. Number 10. Overly expensive weddings. Your wedding day, arguably one of the most special and memorable days of your entire life. But does special automatically have to mean wildly expensive? With the average cost of a wedding in the United States now exceeding a staggering $30,000, far too many couples begin their married life together already drowning in debt, essentially trading years, potentially even decades, of future financial flexibility and stability for just a few hours of extravagant celebration. The societal and social media pressure is absolutely immense. Glossy magazines, reality TV shows, and perfectly curated Instagram feeds constantly bombard us with images and ideals suggesting that a wedding must be grandiose, lavish, and picture-perfect to be truly meaningful or successful. But here's the reality, backed by research. There is absolutely no correlation between the amount of money spent on the wedding ceremony and the subsequent happiness, success, or longevity of the marriage itself. In fact, some studies have even indicated the opposite, that couples who spend less on their weddings tend to have longer-lasting marriages. Consider Jennifer and Michael from Boston. They consciously chose to prioritize their long-term financial health over a single extravagant day. They opted for a beautiful, intimate wedding ceremony and reception that cost them around $5,000. The $25,000 they didn't spend on a bigger wedding was then used as a substantial down payment on their first home. That property investment appreciated significantly in just 5 years, giving them a huge financial head start compared to couples who started married life with wedding debt. The core issue isn't celebrating your love and commitment. That's wonderful. The problem arises when couples feel pressured into sacrificing their long-term financial future, taking on debt, or depleting savings meant for more foundational goals, all for the sake of a single fleeting day. Let's put that 30-pound average wedding cost into perspective again, using the power of compound interest. If a couple, say at age 30, invested that $30,000 towards their retirement instead, assuming an average annual return of 8%, it could potentially grow to over $450,000 by the time they reach age 65. Is it truly worth trading nearly $500,000 of your future security for elaborate flower arrangements, a fancy venue, and a DJ for just a few hours? Thankfully, financially intelligent and forward-thinking couples are increasingly redefining what constitutes a truly meaningful and unforgettable wedding celebration. They are shifting the focus away from excessive spending and towards genuine meaning, shared experiences, and personal touches, rather than simply trying to impress guests with extravagance. If you or someone you know is planning a wedding, the absolute first step, before looking at venues or dresses, should be to sit down together and establish a firm, realistic maximum budget based on what you can comfortably afford to pay in cash, without taking on debt or compromising essential long-term financial goals like saving for a home or retirement. Stick to that budget religiously. There are helpful free online tools and apps like Zola or Wedding Wire that offer budgeting features specifically designed to help couples plan and keep their wedding expenses under control. Conclusion. So there you have it. 10 common but costly assets and habits that actively sabotage your path to financial freedom. From depreciating cars and inescapable timeshares to the lure of luxury goods, gambling, high-interest debt, questionable degrees, expensive toys, inefficient insurance, the endless tech upgrade cycle, and overly extravagant weddings. Recognizing these traps is the crucial first step. Remember, while many people are caught up in chasing the illusion of wealth, you now possess the knowledge to start building the real thing. The power to change your financial future lies in the decisions you make starting today. Which of these wealth traps will you eliminate first? Your future self is counting on you. Don't forget to like this video if it helped you, and subscribe for more practical financial strategies to secure your future.